Hello, everybody, and welcome to this live hangout with myself and Harry Thomas, where we reflect on the Wolverine trilogy. Yes, part 3 of our X-Men reflection, where we delve into the greatest character in the saga and his own solo adventures, all 3 of them. So, Harry, shall we start with the worst and then work our way up? Let's start where it starts. X-Men Origins Wolverine. Oh boy, this one's gonna be a screamer.
Thanks, Ollie. Oh boy, yeah, totally agree. Origins Wolverine it's awful. It's a complete piece of crap. I mean, the only redeeming quality I would say it has is that Sabretooth is given more character in this movie than he had in the original X-Men, but that's it. Everything else just
What about Hugh Jackman as Wolverine?
yeah, yeah. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is still impressive. He does his best, even if the script here doesn't give his his character a compelling journey, which what we want to see. He still tries, which is great. But other than that, everything else about this just fucking sucks. I mean, I think this is. Yeah, I'd go as far as saying this is worse than all 3 of the Star Wars prequels combined. Yeah, yeah.
I probably have to agree with that. Yeah, it is really that bad.
Oh yeah, totally. It's just Gavin Hood. I'm not sure what other movies he's directed, but after this, I this doesn't look good on his career. And I heard.
The only other movie I've seen him direct is called Ender's Game, and I thought that was a terrible film as well. It was better than this, but not by much.
Oh yeah, yeah. Ender's Game wasn't great either. So yeah, he was completely the wrong director for the job. And not only that, but Fox really intervened and made this movie as bad as they could. You can tell, unlike the other X-Men movies, which at least The Last Stand had effort. So this doesn't have any heart or any effort behind the production whatsoever.
I mean, haters of X-Men 3, I would respectfully ask you to reconsider your opinion. I mean, at least X-Men 3 has a story. At least X-Men 3 has good characters you can care about, for the most part. What does this have? This just has Hugh Jackman, and that's it. Nothing.
Exactly. X-Men 3 still had a coherent story and great character moments and incredible action. This has absolutely none of that. It's a complete bore from
Makes X-Men 3 look like a masterpiece.
Oh, X-Men 3 is a fucking masterpiece in comparison to this. Yeah, this is the lowest low of the series. I mean, just the film is it's so boring. I've rarely been so bored at a superhero movie in my life. I mean, this time movie should be a awesome prequel and backstory to a timeless comic book character, but instead, exactly. But
more of the shit that we liked in X-Men 2, but sadly not.
Exactly. In fact, yeah, as you said, the origin and backstory we got for him in X-Men 2 is far and away better and more informative than this. I mean,
how sad can you get? My God.
Yeah, I know, right? In fact, yeah, in fact, the interesting, at least the interesting ideas this film have, which has Logan fighting in American wars. That's all just done in a fucking flashback and montage. We don't.
You know what? That should have been the film that we got to see. We should have seen all of that, and then the climax of the film should have been him getting the claws. You know, that should have been the climax. But sadly, no. They have to pad the movie out with this boring love story, this boring revenge plot. Goes nowhere. I think the film would have been much better going through history with the wars. It would have been so much better.
Same. That's the movie we wanted, and that's the movie we should have got. So, but instead, the numbnuts at Fox, for reasons, just chose to fly by this interesting stuff and just say fuck that.
Good. I demand a remake.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We demand it. If there's one X-Men movie that should be remade, oh boy, is it this? Yeah, I totally agree. The love story and revenge subplot, it's totally unnecessary, and it leads to nothing ultimately. And just uh, and just to seeing Logan just chop wood and just go and just fight Sabretooth. It's what's happening. Nothing interesting is happening.
Two brothers having a hissy fit. That's it.
Exactly. That's not a compelling a superhero story in the slightest. Uh, and just the characters here, some of the most iconic characters in the X-Men series are done terribly here. Oh, I mean, look what they did to the Blob. The Blob was embarrassing.
Just a joke, really. I mean, he becomes the Blob. He's not even really a mutant. He's just like a guy who suffered from an eating disorder. Was that their definition of trying to make us care about the character, that he became depressed or something? Like, what? like it doesn't make sense to me. And I mean, the character's ridiculous anyway. Like, it's just silly. Like, the movie's trying to be so dark and like violent, and then it's going with the silly tone like that. It doesn't really work.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I don't even know if they even read the comics. That's how wrong they got the Blob. And yeah, and the dark moments and the moments of drama completely fall flat. So I was laughing at how silly they were, and just and the effects in this movie. My God, I was vomiting at how bad they were.
Oh, God, even on the claws themselves.
Yeah, the claws. They look fake as fuck. It's as if somebody just edited them onto his knuckles. Thank God the effects have never gotten worse than this. And just but the and even if this movie is 107 minutes, and one of the shorter X-Men movies, it feels like the longest. How is that possible? I don't know. But and the worst sin this movie committed was how they totally fucked up Deadpool. I have never seen Deadpool done more horribly than this. I mean,
Oh, fucking vote.
I know, right? I mean, thank God.
Well, actually, in their defense, at least they've apologized for it now with the new Deadpool movie.
Exactly. Thank God. They acknowledged that and gave us the Deadpool movie, which was of course awesome, and was number 7 in my 10 the best movies of 2016. But just this Deadpool was an absolute disgrace, and I can't believe that this piece of crap was had a budget of $150 million. I've seen movies that have had a lower budget than this, yet have somehow looked way better. And
I don't know why, but a lot of this movie seems to have been saved in the piggy bank.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how little.
Even X-Men 3, which was 3 years before this, had way better effects.
Oh yeah, that had spectacular effects. This in this none of the effects really stand out. That's how greedy they were. That's how little they spent on this movie, and thank goodness this movie totally underperformed commercially. I'm so happy so little went to see it, and even if they were planning to do a X-Men Origins Magneto after this, thank God that didn't happen. If it
Well,
would have.
actually, they technically did do that in X-Men First Class.
Oh yeah, technically they did give show his backstory. Only that was done right that time.
Thank goodness for Matthew Vaughn. He saved the franchise.
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. So yeah. All in all, Origins Wolverine. It sucks all across the board. Even the minor redeeming qualities don't save it whatsoever.
Oh, Harry, you forgot to mention about Gambit.
Oh yeah, Gambit.
Wasted.
Yeah, he was wasted. He did totally nothing. In fact, most of the supporting cast in this movie contribute to nothing. What a shame. This this movie just gets 2 thumbs down. It's by far the worst in this Wolverine trilogy and the worst X-Men movie period. It's the one by far I have seen the least, and I don't have the desire to see again anytime soon. So yeah, Origins Wolverine gladly gets, you guessed it, a 1 out of 10. So Ollie, feel free to just rant away at Origins.
Oh, don't worry, I will. The funny thing is, when this film was out in 2009, I was originally going to go and see it. My dad was going to take me and my sister to watch it, but in the end, we never went for various reasons. And you know what? I think I had a lucky escape until I saw the DVD. Oh, this movie sucks. It's so bad. What the fuck? I mean, again, it's the one I've seen the least as well. I just think that everything is wrong. Like, the direction is awful. Gavin Hood, what the fuck have you done? My goodness, this is a disgraceful film. I mean, I still profess, if people hate X-Men 3, I can understand why, but surely you can't deny that it's better than this movie. Like, because this movie just stinks across the board. At least X-Men 3 has a story. At least X-Men 3 has characters you care about. At least X-Men 3 has better effects than this movie. From a technical standpoint and a dramatic standpoint and the script standpoint, it's all better. I mean, it's not great, but it's way better than this movie. So I'm sorry, but this is the worst of the X-Men franchise and the Wolverine trilogy. It's just terrible. I mean, okay, the first 5 minutes are somewhat promising with when you see him as a kid in Victorian times, and then he kills his own father by mistake. That was interesting. I thought, oh, okay, this is going to lead somewhere. And then after that opening montage, they completely squander the rest of the movie. It all goes down the baboon's ass. I mean, as we said earlier, it would have been much better to have a movie about the opening montage. Should have been the 2-hour movie that this should have been. Them fighting through the wars, and then the end of the film should have been them getting captured, him going to meet Stryker, and then getting the adamantium claws in him, and then that would have been an awesome ending, because from that point we kind of know where it goes. Really, we don't need to see anything else. So this movie's fucking boring. Like, the story is terrible. It's a sad thing to say that X-Men 2 does the Origins of Wolverine better than X-Men Origins Wolverine. I find that so funny and kind of sad, really. Bryan Singer must laugh at this film and go, I did it better. You know what, Bryan? Take the glory and take the money. You did it way better. Woo! But, I mean, oh, God. I said the direction's awful. I mean, the good things are, I suppose the soundtrack is quite good when the occasion warrants it. And Hugh Jackman's performance is very good as Wolverine. He still inhabits the character very well. And you see that he is trying to display more of the emotional side of Wolverine. Although I do feel that they gave him the wrong haircut in this movie. It just doesn't look right on him. Like, the long hair, it doesn't suit Wolverine whatsoever. I know it's a really minor thing to complain about, but he should have kept his hairstyle from X-Men 1, 2, and 3. It just works better there. But that aside, the rest of the movie sucks. The effects are terrible. The script is terrible. The direction is terrible. Gavin Hood cannot direct. I'm sorry. I mean, Ender's Game wasn't great either, but at least it was visually more pleasing than this. This movie's a train wreck. I mean, I don't know if it was Gavin Hood himself or whether it was studio interference, but there is no clear vision for this movie. It's like, you know what? Not many people rated X-Men 3. Let's just make another one and see what happens. Oh, God. I mean, the action does nothing for me. This is the worst action of the series by far, just because it doesn't look very realistic. I mean, it's like there are a couple of decent sequences that you can look at. Like, the climax isn't so bad. It's just the effects are really bad in the climax. Like the fight with Deadpool at the end, it's kind of entertaining, I guess, but when you really break it down, the effects just don't help it whatsoever. I mean, also, why the hell does Sabretooth save Wolverine at the end when he's like, "Oh, nobody kills you but me"? I mean, that's another plus actually. Sabretooth was done much better in this movie than X-Men 1, although X-Men 1 is a far better movie. But at least Sabretooth, at least they made him more of a character in this film. I'll give him that. But I don't care for the revenge plot. I don't care for the love story. The stupid thing of his name, the Cuckoo Cachoo, got his name from the moon. And what the fuck? This is fucking Wolverine. This isn't some kind of ancient prophecy. What the fuck is this? This is fucking Wolverine. He's a killer. He wouldn't get his name from some person that tricked themselves to get the moon or whatever. I can't even remember the fucking story, but it's so terrible. She says, "Oh, Cuckoo Cachoo, where were you?" And it's like, it means the Wolverine. Oh, bravo. Well done. Who wrote this script? It's fucking shit. And the characters are awful. Yes, Brett Ratner fucked up some of the characters in X3. He wasted some of them. But this is even worse. My God, how could you waste Gambit? Gambit's one of the best characters. I used to watch the cartoons, and Gambit was my favorite character. He's barely in the movie. He's in the movie for about 5 minutes. He's just kind of there. He's there for a fight scene. Then he turns up at the end, and then he goes off when Wolverine loses his memory. Like, is that it? Is that all we get? Fake, my goodness me. But that's not the worst of it. The Blob. Oh, well done. The Blob. Oh, my goodness. The Blob was terrible in this movie. I mean, the Blob, it's kind of a silly idea on paper when you think about it. Like, in the comics, it is one of the more sillier mutants, but I'm all for it if they can make it interesting, but they just made it like he was pointless. He added nothing to the story, and also he was just silly. It was just pathetic, like the fight scene with him. And there's other characters as well, like Dominic Monaghan, who plays Merry in Lord of the Rings. He has a brief character. I think his character's name is Bradley, but I can't really remember. He's the one who turns the lights on and off. He added nothing to the movie. He was in it for 2 minutes, and then he died. And then you've got Will.i.am. But that is a bizarre piece of casting. Who casted Will.i.am in that role? Will.i.am basically plays himself. Like, Will.i.am's a good singer. I'll give him that, but he should stick to that because he's not really an actor. I don't rate him as an actor whatsoever. He was also in Madagascar 2, Escape to Africa. He voiced Moto, the hunk hippo.
Totally remember that.
Yeah, he gave this kind of deep voice like this, like it was a very smooth, deep voice, and that worked. That was fine. That was an animation as well, so that worked. But he's basically talking like, "Well, I am. I'm playing this. Day and night. I dream about some mutants out of fight." It's pretty much it's a joke. It's a joke casting Will.i.am in this movie. You don't feel anything when he dies as well. I mean, like, he's also a Nightcrawler ripoff. He just teleports. Like, he can't do anything. The characters are useless, other than Hugh Jackman, who, as Wolverine, who actually tries, I mean, he goes to that old couple as well. It was a nice scene. It was nice to see them, I guess. Although, actually, there is a continuity error. The wife, the old woman, when she sees him running, she says, "Is that a naked man running in our barn?" He's like, "Yeah." And then when he comes to sit down with them, she goes English for some reason. She says, "Come and sit down, son." Her accent just changes out of nowhere. Like, oh god. I mean, that's still a really weird scene. I didn't like that. Also, the scene when he's in the bathroom fumbling around and he's playing with his claws. That is first of all, the visual effects there are just so bad. And secondly, this is not like, it's silly, it's goofy. This movie tries to be, serious and emotional and dramatic, but like the other three movies, but it ends up being really silly as well. Oh god. I mean, and also, yeah, when they die, oh, shock horror. I mean, to be fair, that motorbike chase isn't actually too bad. That's probably one of the better action sequences of the movie. What was I going to say? Agent Zero, didn't really care for him whatsoever. Danny Houston, who plays William Stryker in this movie, he's not bad, but he doesn't really do anything for me. He's just kind of there. His performance is just very one note. He kind of just says everything like this, "I can't beat him, Logan. You can do this." But like he just talks like that. He doesn't really have an emotional range, to be honest. I mean, yeah, I think Brian Cox was much better as Stryker. So yeah, he was rubbish. The movie's pacing is awful. This is the worst pace of the X-Men movies, and it's probably one of the shortest movies as well. It's 1 hour 47 minutes. It's 107 minutes. It feels like a 3-hour epic. It's so long. And also, what was the point of Cyclops in this movie? Why did they throw that scene in there? It makes no sense. I mean, it's not the actor's fault, but why the hell was he in this movie? And also, Botox Xavier at the very end. Oh, that's just the icing on the cake. I mean, I'm all for Patrick Stewart making a cameo, but it looks so bad. The CGI, how is it so bad? Oh my god. And, I think, what's her name? Kayla? I think that's her name. His love interest. I didn't give a shit about her either. I mean, her mutation's kind of cool. She can kind of manipulate people by touching them. That was cool. But she didn't really have much of a character. And I didn't like the staged death. Like, it just added nothing to the film. Like, it took away the emotional strength of Wolverine. They took away the emotional struggle of Logan. Like in pursuit of his brother, and then somehow he manages to have a change of heart in the end when she's like, "Oh, we have to rescue my sister," and he kind of just forgives her. What? She faked her death. She had you going on a fucking goose chase, trying to go after your brother out of emotional distress. This woman doesn't deserve your forgiveness. What the fuck? Oh, the script is so awful. How did they? Who wrote this movie? It's so bad. Oh my god. What? I mean, Gavin Hood, what the fuck were you thinking with this shit? I mean, the production design is terrible. It looks cheap. It looks the cheapest of the X-Men movies. It really does. It's the most dated of the X-Men movies as well. It's even more dated than X-Men 1. And that is sad. That is really sad. And this movie is nearly 10 years old and it hasn't held up. It has its entertaining scenes, but not enough of them. Like, there's a couple of good action scenes, but other than that, nothing. Too many characters, too much of a complicated subplot. It doesn't know what it wants to do, went completely in the wrong direction. The only good things are the performance from Hugh Jackman as Wolverine is very good. A couple of good action scenes, and the soundtrack. That's really it. Yeah, I got no love for this movie. I'm going to rate this one a 2 out of 10. Like,
yay!
I mean, I rank it just an incy bit above you, but that doesn't say much. It's still awful. I mean, how could they fuck up Gambit? Oh, I mean, I'm just praying for that Gambit, the X-Men Origins Gambit movie, and I'm hoping that's going to be better than this. Oh, but thankfully, the series was to see much more positive light with The Wolverine, which was released in 2013 and directed by James Mangold. So, Harry, please do give us your thoughts on The Wolverine.
Oh, thanks, Ollie.
Sorry for the long rant as well, but, I hate that movie.
Oh, that's all right. Totally understandable. Me too. Brand. I mean, af- I mean, of well, after the after that piece of shit that was Origins, thank goodness that we got 2 years later First Class, and then after that, James Mangold came along to this series and said, okay, we're going to do a Logan Wolverine story. We're going to apologize for Origins. We're going to at least make it good this time. And that's exactly what the Wolverine is. It's good. I don't think it is personal favorite X-Men movies by any means, but I can see why people really...
Well, it'll do. Compared to the previous one, it'll do. It's fine.
Oh yeah, compared to the previous one, compared to the previous one, it's Citizen Kane. I mean,
funny enough, because Wolverine's imprisoned in the very beginning of the movie in Nagasaki.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the Citizen Kane of Wolverine. So yeah, I think everything about the Wolverine works so much better than Origins. Even if it's not perfect, it's still a good effort. And James Mangold's first time directing an X-Men movie, it's good enough here, and he should be proud. I mean, thank goodness they gave Wolverine a much better, more interesting, more engaging personal story this time. How he's dealing with having to stab Jean at the end of The Last Stand. I really felt for him. I wanted him to overcome that grief, and I'm glad Famke Janssen did reprise her role as Jean in some dream scenes. They really added to the emotional weight of the movie, as well as the Japanese setting is really interesting and a very fresh new addition. I'm glad that the X-Men series has been going well across the world recently. Just like in Apocalypse, we also went to Egypt and
even Auschwitz as well.
Yep. Auschwitz too. This movie could have been titled X-Men in Japan, because so the Japanese are setting beautiful, and the characters here are definitely leagues done better than they were in Origins, but these aren't particularly the most memorable characters of the series. They could have been. Yeah, these characters, they're good enough, but they lack the memorability of our favorite X-Men heroes. I mean, Mark Hitto, the love interest, the granddaughter of Yashinda.
Wait, sorry, did you say Mariko?
Yeah, Mariko.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I wondered who you meant there.
Yeah. I mean, I love how she's so well. She's not a total damsel in distress. She can defend herself, but it wasn't necessary to give Wolverine to give him another girlfriend. I mean, he's had enough love interests throughout this series as it is. I mean,
there's no chemistry between them.
Yeah, not really. It was totally forced and unnecessary.
Also, if you know what I'm saying, it kind of negates the whole point of the story, because it's like, hang on, Logan's trying to get over Jean, and he was in love with Jean, which I can understand that, and he was trying to let go of her. The fact that he killed her as well is weighing on him quite heavily. So to give him another love interest in the same film kind of derails me.
Yeah, it totally killed the points. I mean, that didn't make any sense. He was moving on from one love, and he was finding another. That kind of betraying Jean as well. Their romance could have totally been removed, and Yashinda is he's a
Yashida.
Yashinda, yeah, he's a he's a great antagonist. I love his his personal connection to Logan, and how it's clever how he fakes that his death from cancer at the beginning, and it turns out in the plot twist at the end that that he is that he's the Silver Samurai, and yeah, so they definitely improved on the villains here, and Viper, well, she was really sexy. I know she's pretty much yeah, yeah, she's pretty much the Poison Ivy of X-Men, but oh yeah, but at least she's done better here than Poison Ivy was in Batman and Robin. Oh, that was embarrassing. Yeah, yeah, and the and even and the movie has a lower budget than Origins. It's 120 million, but it looks so much better. The effects are pretty darn solid, and
cluing the word, they're more realistic.
Exactly, you believe them.
CGI is only used when necessary.
Yeah, thank goodness this film doesn't look like it was shot everywhere on a green screen, unlike the last. Yeah, they grounded it in reality once again, and I think the action is decent. The train fight was great, so probably the most memorable. But it's but it's not the best action of the series for me. Far from it.
I mean, to be fair, that train fight was good. It's very good. It doesn't hold a candle to the Spider-Man 2 train sequence.
Oh, the Spider-Man 2 train scene. That's one of the greatest action sequences just ever. And this doesn't live up to that at all.
That's probably the best action scene in a superhero movie that I can think of. It's so good.
Yeah, how is it 13 years later they've never been able to top it since. I don't know. And yeah, the soundtrack is okay, but certainly not the most memorable of the series. I was so happy to hear the X-Men 2 theme play at the beginning of the next movie, Days of Future Past. That really saved it. And the ending was very satisfying to see Logan finally move on from Jean, but in the post-credit scene, what really didn't make sense for me was when Charles Xavier came back to life. I mean, that basically kind of made killing him off in the Last Stand kind of pointless. And how did Jean not come back to life as well? If you're going to bring back Charles Xavier, you might as well bring back Jean too. That's how little sense it made. And
well, technically, there is a reason, and I'll tell you why. First of all, the Jean explanation, she technically already died and came back to life, so it would have been too much. But with Xavier, I don't know if you've seen it, there is a post-credit scene at the end of X-Men 3 where Moira McTaggart goes to the hospital bed of that man that, you know, when you've seen the video clip, and then you hear Charles's voice. He goes, "Hello, Moira," and she goes, "Charles." So his basically his consciousness went into another body. I know it doesn't make much sense, but it's their explanation of it anyway. I mean, it's still a plot hole. It does make the scene in The Last Stand kind of pointless, but. So he kind of moves from one physical form to another, if that makes sense, which it probably doesn't, but yeah.
Oh yeah. He just changed his conscience, just like Apocalypse did. That's actually a fair explanation. Thanks. So yeah. Overall, the Wolverine is while it certainly isn't a masterpiece for me, it's still a decent effort. So it certainly will do. And James Mangold did a great job with apologizing for Origins, and yeah, at least the story's actually interesting this time. We see Wolverine's personal struggle. At least the characters here were not great, but done much better. At least the action was stepped up. At least it looked more real. It had a more interesting setting, and just it was all around a much better put together film. So yeah, I can see why people think it's underrated, and I've heard a lot of the comments on my review saying it is underrated, and that's great. So it's not my favorite of the series, but yes, still enjoyable, and second best of this trilogy for me. So yeah, I am going to rate the Wolverine a good 7 out of 10. So Ollie, what are your thoughts on the Wolverine?
Well, I really like this movie. A lot of people don't for whatever reason, but I mean, have you seen X-Men Origins? Anyway, that's another story. The Wolverine. I went into this film not knowing much about it because I'd only ever heard of the Japanese saga ever mentioned in previous makings of the films. And Hugh Jackman, I remember talking about this movie, said that he was very intrigued by that storyline, and it's a very good story. I think the story is much better than Origin, well, way better than X-Men Origins Wolverine, and you know, I like it because it strips the character down. It makes him vulnerable, taking away his immortality. You know, Yashija basically questioning him. He's saying, you know, you've had a long life. You know, you can still go on, have a family, settle down. You can carry on just living on, and kind of aging, and then you'll never die. And it's a really interesting plot, which I like. So that's good. And I love the beginning because it sets it up very well. And I think the Japanese setting just works tremendously well. It's visually stunning. This movie is beautiful to look at, especially on Blu-ray as well. I own it on Blu-ray. It's wonderful to look at. Especially, there's something about Japanese culture on film which looks amazing, and you know, it looks great here. And Hugh Jackman still rocks the part. I mean, even this is his 6th performance if you include the cameo in First Class. This is his 6th performance, and he's still got it. He loves this character, and he's totally thrown himself into the role. Can you just bear with me a sec? I've just got to quickly go and do something. My mum's just come home, so I just need to quickly speak to her. You can just talk for a second if you want, Harry.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, totally. I totally agree. Stripping him of his healing powers gave the movie so it really heightened the tension and gave a more vulnerable side to Logan, which we certainly didn't get in Origins, where he was just basically, well, fucking invincible. So that was a big step up. There's plenty more tension here, and yeah, you're absolutely right. The Japanese setting, it's beautiful. It's so gorgeous and authentic. And yeah, I've always loved Asian culture on film, and to see it portrayed in an X-Men movie is a real treat. Yeah, it's probably one of the most interesting settings of the series, and yeah, I love the samurai vibe from this movie. Samurai, adding samurai with Logan surprisingly does work, and yeah, I love again, like you said, this may be Hugh Jackman's 6th performance as Logan Wolverine, yet he still has all his mojo. I mean, 6th time win. How many actors can honestly do that? I have no idea. So yeah, in fact, it's not just Hugh Jackman. Thankfully, all of all the cast do a great job, and since it's set in Japan, there is a more there's a more of a diversity with there's more diversity with actors this time. I and yeah yeah just the Teo Okamoto as a Marketo. I'm not sure if I've seen her in any other movies, but she's really impressive here. And
Sorry about that, Harry.
Oh, hi, Ollie. Oh, you're back. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll continue very quickly because I've got to go down and make my dinner, but I'll be back and forth. So
Okay.
what I'm going to say, and then you can talk about Logan. So the Wolverine, what was I talking about? Yeah, Japanese setting. It's great to see it. It's visually very beautiful, and I think it's probably one of, if not the most visually stunning of the series. And James Mangold beautifully brings it to life. Just the colors and everything. It totally makes up for X-Men Origins Wolverine. The problem with this movie, though, is the characters. Now, look, I understand that you have a full Japanese cast and, you know, they're not all very well known, but they didn't really, despite them trying, the characters just didn't do anything for me, other than Logan himself and probably Yashida and Mariko. The rest of them are just kind of there. I mean, I think it's very interesting, you know, all of the kind of the family stuff and how she's got an arranged marriage and everything, and you know, Logan kind of he talks to her fiance and he throws him out the window. It's like, I didn't, you know, how do you know there was a pool down there? I didn't. And funny enough, that is a reference to a Bond movie, Diamonds Are Forever, which is quite funny. Yeah, but the other characters, there's also this Archer guy who's just there. Like, he turns up, shoots a few people, then he changes sides, and then he dies. Who the fuck is this character? We don't get to know anything about him. We know he's some kind of love interest for Mariko. It just becomes so confusing. I don't understand who all these characters are and how they fit in. We know that Mariko's father is a bastard. I forget the guy's name, but so there's some tension there. And also Yukio, the one with the red hair, she's very good. I love her. She's a great character, and her mutation is particularly interesting. Kind of fortune teller-esque, but it works. You know, she can foresee people's deaths, which I thought was very interesting. And when she tells Logan about his death, that's it's very interesting. I think what's her name? Viper? Yeah, Viper, who's pretty much Marvel Poison Ivy. As hell, she really is sexy. The actress is hot. Woof woof, yes indeed, massively. The character was okay, I guess, though I don't understand how she really fits into the grand scheme of things. Like, I think there's a bit too many characters that know what. I mean, you're going to get that in any X-Men film, but all of these characters, they're trying to connect all of these characters together, and it doesn't really work. It gets a bit messy. The character development is a bit of a mess, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just because most of them are Japanese. But yeah, she's okay. She does some stuff towards the end, but I don't really see the point of her character, really. The action sequences are very good. I enjoy them. I think they're good fun, and they're exciting. They're entertaining. The train scene is probably the most memorable one. And the climax is good, if a little long. I mean, I like it. A lot of people say it's too comic booky, but the whole thing is based on a comic book. So what more do you want? I don't care if it's, but you know, I don't care. It's and it's very entertaining. I think the story, the emotional drama of the story, works really well, and I love how it's about Wolverine trying to let go of Jean. You know, he's trying to move on from Jean, and the fact that he killed her as well is another thing that was weighing him down. Like, his nightmare at the very beginning when you see Famke Janssen is really quite horrific. And there's the very last scene when he's about to die, and then he kind of he collapses in and he sees her, and then in the light, and he's like, "I'm sorry," you know. He says, oh, I'm sorry, I can't be the guy that you want me to be anymore," or something like that. So in a way, this movie is really a sequel to X-Men 3. So you could watch 1, 2, and 3, and then this movie, and it would make total sense. Then Days of Future Past, and then Apocalypse, then Logan, etc. So they've tried to make this connect to the main saga, which is great because a lot of people say, "Oh, it's just a solo Wolverine movie." Well, yes, it is, but you could also say it's also a part of the X-Men series, which I think is great. There are times when the movie's pacing does slow down a bit. It does get a little bit, sluggish at points. But for me, there's just enough for me to get through that. I think Yashida's an interesting antagonist, and the Silver Samurai thing is a interesting concept, I suppose. And I didn't like how he cut off Wolverine's claws at the end. It didn't really make sense, to be honest. But I thought the story was very intriguing and very intense and very interesting. Again, the romance was so forced, and it completely derailed the point of the whole story. Logan having Mariko as a love interest. Fair enough, she can go on the adventure with him, but there's no need for them to fall in love. He was getting over Jean. That's the whole point of the story, but apparently not. From a production design standpoint, it looks beautiful. The fact that it's set in Japan is brilliant, and it looks like the budget was more well spent than X-Men Origins, and they fixed his haircut, so that's a good sign. And also the post-credit scene with Xavier and Magneto is great because it sets up for Days of Future Past very well. James Mangold's direction, it's good enough. It'll do. I just think that the characters what let this movie down. I would probably enjoy this movie a lot more if the characters were better developed for the sake of it. But I would say this is a good, solid movie, and it's very entertaining. It can be very fun and engaging. The great scene when he has to take the little worm out of his guts is really quite graphic. And then he has the fight with Mariko's father. He's like, "Who are you?" "I am the Wolverine." When that was a great moment. It's really well shot, this movie as well. The camera work is great, and every frame is like a picture because it's all in Japan. Like the culture is great in Japanese, and there's a great scene also in the bar at the very beginning when Yukio arrives, and he confronts them about killing the grizzly bear, which is nice. I mean, some people say he looks like Jesus. I can see why, but I wouldn't go that far. He looks even more rough in the next movie. So overall, I mean, and again, the soundtrack not that great. I mean, it's okay, I guess, but it's not memorable. I mean, the ending credits theme is the most memorable part of the soundtrack. But yeah, so the Wolverine, I would rate this one an 8 out of 10. So, Harry, let's move on to the third and final movie of this trilogy with Logan. What do you think of Logan?
Well, thank you, Ollie. I could not be happier with Logan. I recently saw it and I came out such a big grin on my face, going, "Wow, fucking wow! That was incredible." Logan, I can gladly say, well, the best X-Men movie for me now is not X-Men Apocalypse anymore. It is now Logan. Yeah, Logan it's the Dark Knight of X-Men. It is by far, in my mind, the best movie in this trilogy, best X-Men movie. I mean, James Mangold, you've really outdone yourself. And Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart here, they give their best performances in the entire series. This is probably their most interesting story after all the shit they've been through. They are just old now. They're so tired. They have seen people they love die. They have suffered. They're just at this point they're giving up on the world. They're just desperately trying to hide out and stay alive in an age where mutants are just becoming extinct in this apocalyptic setting. And that made them vulnerable, which really added a sense of urgency to the movie, and again, brilliantly heightens tension. So yeah, this movie is full of tension. And Daphne Keane as X-23, who is, of course, spoiler alert, Logan's daughter, since she was a clone of him. She's the best character in the movie. She's absolutely fantastic. She should get work after this. She really should. She was total utter badass. I mean, you won't mess with her. I love her claws that come out of her wrists. I mean, she was the best in the action scenes. I'm so happy she didn't have to say too much. I'm glad she just expressions, because that is a powerful form of acting, showing rather than telling. And the movie's gritty western feel works really well. In some ways, it doesn't feel much like a comic book movie, but that's absolutely fine. The darker night felt real, but that worked. It shows and this movie's 18 rating in the UK and R rating in the US shows how incredibly diverse that this X-Men saga can be. And it feels like a totally original X-Men movie, unlike we've never seen before. And with the R rating, the action scenes here, fucking awesome, fucking cool. I loved every single one of them. Seeing Logan and X-23 just slash down henchmen and stab guys over and over again with their claws. It was bloody. It was an absolute bloodbath. It was brutal as hell. I mean, I have never seen so much blood in a comic book movie. I mean, for if you love Deadpool, this movie is like heaven for you. I mean, I am so happy that they chose to rate this movie 18, and surprisingly, they go all out with the swearing and in this movie. I mean, even Charles Xavier had a bit of a go. I mean, it's odd hearing him say the F word, but after all they've been through, it's understandable why they're so damaged at this point. It's understandable why they would be like that. So I know people might have a problem with the overuse of swearing, but that wasn't a problem for me at all. It shows that this series has really grown up at this point, and uh, although the villain is probably the weakest character in the film, and he certainly isn't the best villain in the X-Men series. For me, that would still be Eden Zar slash Apocalypse, but he was still a good villain. He's still, I think, a little better than people give him credit for. He was still slimy and slick and just nasty, and he would stop at nothing until he had X-23. I loved his determination. The best villains for me are the ones that just never give up on their plan, no matter what. That yeah, and the pacing of this movie for me is perfect. I have heard people complain that it's too long and does meander and drag a bit in the middle part when they're on the road, but I respectively disagree. I think the pacing in that middle part was necessary to slow down, to allow the drama to sink in for character development. Yeah, the action's fucking cool, but let us not forget this is not an action movie like Apocalypse was. This is a very character-driven and character-based X-Men movie, and those are the best ones. That's what we come to for X-Men to see, the characters, and the characters are done down to a T in this film. And surprisingly, this movie has a shocking amount of death. I mean, literally, I mean, when Charles Xavier dies, it's truly shocking. It's devastating seeing him go out. We have spent 10 freaking movies with this guy, and to just see him gone just like that, it brought it. I choked up. It brought a tear to my eye, and it was actually done better here than it was in The Last Stand, which is something I didn't think they would be able to top, but they did. And the final fight in in the forest is a perfect way to conclude the movie. And what's most shocking of all, going back to how many characters we do say goodbye to and do get killed off in Logan, I didn't expect Logan himself to go. Oh my gosh, that was a real emotional punch. I so cried. I couldn't believe it. I went, but but at least his death was and the way he went was, at least it made sense, and I can see why they did it, and it was a truly powerful ending to just the entire X-Men saga, and Hugh Jackman pulled it off fucking fantastically. If he doesn't get an Oscar nomination for this performance, the Academy should be ashamed. And yeah, but at least his daughter, as his daughter Lara's legacy will go on, and she will now lead the mutants to hope in a new age. So yeah, that was where that's a great thing about this movie. It's so unpredictable as hell. There are twists and turns throughout this journey that I never saw coming. The script here is stupendous, and yeah, that ending was probably the best place they could have possibly went left on. I did not expect it to end there at all. So yeah, and E and Eve, I just was and even though this movie isn't directed by Bryan Singer, oddly enough, James Mangold is now equal to Bryan Singer in every way as the best, most perfect director for X-Men. So yeah, Logan, guys, you if you have not seen it, why? If you're an X-Men Logan fan, why are you not seeing Logan right now? Logan is a utter absolute masterpiece. I am so happy it was on my list of top 10 most anticipated movies of 2017, because boy does it live up to the hype. It's timed with the Lego Batman movie as my favorite 2017 movie so far, easily. And although it probably won't be his favorite 2017 movie throughout the year, it will easily. I'll be shocked if it doesn't remain in the top five. And yeah, this will also make the list as one of the greatest comic book movies and superhero films out there. It will remain a classic from years to come. And after this movie, I really think they're going to rate many more superhero films are following on the success train of Deadpool being rated R. The R rating worked for that movie, and it fits perfectly here. But I hope not all comic book movies are rated R, because that would be going a bit overboard. I mean, you've got to have superhero movies for the kids as well. I mean, they should be for everyone, really. So, but yeah, this is for the adults. So do not take your kids to see this. This ain't a kids movie. I mean, that's why I applaud it for being so bold. So yeah, guys, Logan is a fucking masterpiece. Fucking loved it. I don't have any issues with it whatsoever, and I haven't quite gotten to uploading my review yet, but I certainly will when the time comes. So yeah, I am glad. So I am easily going to rate Logan, as it's the by far the best in this trilogy and best X-Men movie. Of course, I am going to give Logan a well-deserved 10 out of 10. So, yeah, I'm glad that Logan is doing awesomely at the box office. I am a I mean it's a it may have only have a budget of 97 million, very surprisingly, but it's, boy, has it made a profit, and well deserved. It's I money well spent. This, so take that, Origins. Fuck you, Origins. Yeah, yeah, a movie with a much lower budget and used much less CGI than you did looked way better. Get that into your heads, makers of Origins. Yeah, yeah, Logan. It's yeah. I hope this movie remains number one commercially, and I'm so happy it has like a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's around the rating it should get. It really should. I wouldn't even mind if it got a 96%, if we could boost it up that high. And just yeah, I overall just uh yeah, I overall just will as I watch the rebooted X-Men trilogy, I will always always go back to Logan over and over again. Yeah, yeah, the other two not as much, but Logan without question would be my first choice to watch. It's it's uh, it's just and it could have been a disappointment. It could have sucked, but thank God it was in the right hands. Thank God James Mangold took his direction from the Wolverine and made it so much better. Yeah, he deserves a big round of applause. He really does. Yeah, yeah, and the yeah, yeah, Hugh Jackman should be proud. Patrick Stewart should be proud. Keane should be proud. Uh, James Mangold should be proud. And just just who else was in the cast? Oh yeah, and just Boyd Holbrook and Stephen Merchant should be proud. Just Lemon Arquish, and sorry, Richard E. Grant should be proud, and Elizabeth Rod Rodriguez, Eric Sale should be proud. Ellison should be proud. Everybody who worked on this movie, the entire crew, should be so freaking proud. And the movie is probably one of the longest X-Men films. It has a running time of an hour and 35 minutes, but that works. But the pacing here is just so flawless. I didn't notice the running time. I was having that great. I was having that delightful of a time, and the score by Marco Beltrami. It's its Western feel works tremendously for this film. Yeah, it's terrific. It just yeah, everything about this movie just blew me the fuck away. It succeeds on every level, and the cinematography is beautiful. Oh my gosh, this is the best shot of the X-Men series by far. It's they know how to get the cinematography, and yeah, they got the best cinematographers for this movie, and just I'm if this is the last X-Men movie, then if this is the last time we see Wolverine, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, then he's had a great run as the character, been gladly playing him brilliantly in all in all 8 movies that he starred in for 17 years. He has consistently played the role to the best of his ability, and for this final movie, he deserves an Academy Award. He deserves an Academy Award for Best Actor. He really fucking does. Yeah, the dude just went all out, and so should Patrick Stewart for Best Supporting Actor as well. And Daphne Keane, she should totally get the Best Child Actress. Why hasn't the Academy invented a fucking category for Best Child Actor? Just make one up already. They don't. Why don't the Academy acknowledge child acting as great acting? They should. It's hard for an adult actor enough, but for a kid to pull off a great performance without the years of training that an adult has had, that's brilliant. That is an incredible feat. And I have and Ollie recently said how he saw this movie in IMAX, which must have been amazing. I'm afraid I regret to say I have never seen a movie in IMAX ever. I do apologize for saying that. I know that's embarrassing, but I've never gotten to see it in IMAX. But I think seeing Logan in IMAX, I can't imagine what good a movie-going experience it must have been. How lucky Ollie was that day to see it in IMAX. I mean, I will make an effort in the future to see a movie in IMAX, because that's probably the best possible experience you could have. I mean, way better than 3D. Yeah, 3D in movies is really getting to the point where people are sick of 3D. But IMAX has stood the test of time, and it forever will. Yeah. I am. Yeah. Oh, hi, Ollie. Are you back?
Harry. I'm sorry about that. I was asked to make the dinner.
Oh, that's all right. I've just given my summary on Logan. Yeah, I gave it a full-on 10 out of 10. So, Ollie, what are your thoughts on this epic final installment of the Wolverine trilogy?
Well, Logan, I think it's fair to say this is the Wolverine movie we've been waiting for.
Hell yeah.
It's perfect. I was really blown away by Logan. I really didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I mean, the trailer made it look really, well, quite sad, actually. Really quite depressing, and I was worried that I was going to feel completely bummed out from this entire film. I mean, well, yes, it is very sad that Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart are both left. I think it's they go out with a bang. James Mangold returns to direct, and bloody hell, he's improved. His direction is so much better here than the Wolverine. I mean, his direction was good for the Wolverine, but this is a very different film. And he's really taken a different approach. It's it comes across like a Western, but it works. It works. I mean, the fact this film has a real emptiness to it, a real empty feel to it, which I really like and admire, because all the X-Men are gone. Most of them are all dead. So times aren't very good for the mutants. I mean, also, it's worthy to note that I will be going into spoilers. I don't know if you went into spoilers, Harry, but
I did. I spoiled major parts.
Yeah, well, if if anybody's just tuning in, then I am going to be spoiling this movie. So if you haven't seen Logan, then do please remove yourself. Or if you don't give a shit about spoilers, then fair enough. Or if you've seen the movie, fair enough. So the story is very good. I really like it. It's a very different film, and it's appropriate. I mean, we see a very weary Logan. He's tired, he's old, he's almost depressed, really. He's had enough of life, and he's had enough of sort of being downtrodden. He doesn't have much to live for, and as soon as the girl Laura comes into his life, his daughter, he doesn't really know what to do. I think, and that's the great idea that they play off, is that, you know, his biggest fear is having a family, and, you know, because the X-Men are all dead and he's lived through all of that, he feels so alone, even though Xavier is still there. Charles Xavier is going a bit doolally. He's a bit mad. He's having these mental breakdowns. He's having these seizures, which are causing the world to shake. So he's not in the best place. So he's having to care for Xavier, who once took him in, and then he's having to care for this new girl who is, well, his kind of his daughter. So he doesn't quite know how to deal with that, and he doesn't know what it feels like to be a dad. And I like that very much. It's very goes back to what I loved about the original X-Men movies and Days of Future Past. Like, they're just such deep stories. They're, as well as politically engaging, they are very deep stories. I mean, this one not so much in the political sense of the word, because this is like a road trip, and I like that very much. That it's just them on the run, trying to get this girl, trying to get this fucking kid across the border. But at the same time, you see Wolverine slowly begins to warm to her, and he starts to care for her because she's all that he has left. After, I mean, Charles dies halfway through the film, which is again very sad, and he dies for real this time. For real.
His death was actually better done here than it was in The Last Stand, which I didn't expect.
His death was brutal. I mean, I liked his death scene in The Last Stand. It was very powerful, certainly, when he was vaporized by Jean Grey. But in this movie, it was very sudden. Like I said, it feels like a Western, like a really bloody, brutal Western. And the tone of this movie is great because it's clear. It's clear they're going for an R-rated, violent film, and I like that. You know, it's like they saying, you know, we've had 8 movies with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Let's give the fans what they want. Let's give them a bloody fest, you know, with blood and gore and just bloodiness, violence. You know, let's just throw it on there. Let's splatter it on, because you know what, the fans have sat through 17 years. Let's give them what they want. Let's do it. You know, and I like that approach. They're like, fuck it, we've earned it. Let's just do it. I think it's brilliant. Like, the opening action sequence was something I really didn't expect. It was bloody. It was brutal. This movie's just brutal. I love it. I mean, not just in the violent sense of the word, but also in the emotional sense of the word. It's emotionally brutal. I mean, Wolverine, he's physically at his lowest low. I didn't think they could bring him down any lower after the Wolverine. I mean, because the Wolverine, he had his immortality stripped away. With this, he's old. He's not healing anymore. He's just struggling, and he doesn't want to be healed. He's like, you know, when the doctor tries to heal him, and he's like, Doc, you seem like a nice guy, but if you want to save anyone else's life, save your own. And, you know, so he's given up on life. He really has given up on life, and it's really sad to see his journey come like that. And you know, Hugh Jackman is astounding in this movie. He gives probably one of his best, if not his best, performance as Wolverine slash Logan. And the fact that they call this movie Logan as well is actually quite appropriate, because they, you know, when you strip the character to the bare minimum, like, he is no longer Wolverine. He is Logan. He's just a man. He's not who he once was. So I think that was a great title, you know, to call it Logan. And, you know, because his name is actually Logan as well, it makes sense. I really like the fact that it's a smaller group of characters this time. We've been so used to the huge amount of characters of the X-Men movies. The scale of it is just ridiculously big. So this time it's nice to have a smaller set of characters. So the characters are really good in this film. Obviously, Hugh Jackman I've talked about. He's very good as Logan. And the very end of the film is definitely sad, but we'll get to that in a bit. Patrick Stewart plays Xavier for one last time. He does it very differently this time. He's not the wise old man that we once knew. He's old. He's going a little bit insane. He's emotionally struggling. We've never really seen that before. Not with Patrick Stewart, anyway. At least not as far as I can remember. So it's nice to see that. You also got Caliban. Now, Caliban, I like him, played by Stephen Merchant. He's a good character in this movie. He's also in X-Men Apocalypse. The one thing I will criticize this movie for is the explanation of how Wolverine met Caliban. Because, I mean, Apocalypse is like 50 years before Logan. So how the hell did Caliban get out? And how did Caliban meet Charles and Logan? Like, it's never really explained. So that was one little annoyance that I had with the movie. But I mean, I thought, okay, it's an X-Men film, I'll go with it. Whatever. It's one thing that isn't tied up. I won't criticize for it. Sorry, did you want to say something, Harry?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, that was, yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, he was probably the weakest of the main characters for me. I don't know about you.
He definitely was one of the weakest. But I mean, the actor Stephen Merchant did a decent performance, but was it just me, or did his accent really sort of fluctuate? By that I mean, did his accent change a lot? Because it sounded to me his accent dipped between like French and English, and I don't know, it kind of didn't feel natural to me.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah, he definitely didn't seem to have an idea of what he wants his accent to be.
Because in X-Men Apocalypse, I believe it was the same. I believe it was the same actor. So yeah, it seemed a bit more consistent in that film. I know he was only in 2 scenes in that film, so it didn't really matter too much. But for this film, it would have been nice for him to be consistent. His death scene, I thought, was very good. He sacrificed himself, and he's like, "Beware of the light," and then boom, blows up the base. I mean, that was cool. As for the villain, he's okay. Pierce, I think his name is. He's a very he's kind of menacing, but there's nothing very remarkable about him. I mean, he's got this kind of cyborg-looking arm, his metal arm, which I thought was kind of cool. But he didn't really do much for me. He's just kind of there, and he just kind of is chasing them. Yeah, like, I mean, I like his accent. He does a good sort of southern accent, like, Logan, give me the gal, But Wolverine isn't really threatened by him at all. Like, he's not threatening. He's kind of sinister, but yeah, he's just there. But the actor does all right, I guess. So for me, it's either him or Caliban who was the weakest. Richard E. Grant's also in the movie. He plays a small role, and although he doesn't really do much. The movie's it's a bit more of a slow burner, but I don't mind that. They're going on a road trip. There is action when there is action, and blimey, you feel the brutality of this movie. When Wolverine gets hurt, you feel the pain. I mean, never before have you felt it more than in any other of the X-Men movies. You feel it when Wolverine gets slashed across the face, when he gets smacked, when he gets thrown. You're like, oh, that must hurt, because he's so old now. It's really it's really quite difficult to watch, actually. And the concept of the story is really interesting. The whole cloning plot I thought was very cool, and the whole explanation about Laura being like a genetic clone of him was really cool. And when the first scene, when she kills all the men, that was really, really surprising. I didn't see that coming. I mean, I had a feeling I knew what was going to happen, but I mean, I didn't realize how good it was going to be, that scene. I mean, I was like, oh my god, that is great. And speaking of which, the young girl that plays Laura, Daphne Keane, she's fantastic. I mean,
oh, she's amazing. Yeah, she's probably the best performance in the entire movie for me.
Yeah, she's definitely up there. I mean, Hugh Jackman is kind of, he kind of steals it for me, but she's great. I mean, and her relationship with him is something that's very great to see develop, because Wolverine's never had this kind of dynamic before. He's never had a daughter, or he's never had any children. So it was really interesting. I mean, she's just like him, cold-blooded killer. I mean, she doesn't say much, but when she does speak, it's quite cool. And you see her break down at the very end of the movie when he dies, and it's, oh my god, you really feel. I mean, she really conveys every emotion that you want. And speaking of which, his death scene. Oh my god, I kind of had a feeling. I kind of had a feeling they might do this. He might get killed off, but to be honest, it works. You know what? It's fine. He's been through a lot. The character has been through so much in the previous 8 films and in this one, and he's suffered through quite a lot. He's lived through a lot. So to kill him off at this point, I think was the right decision. And I think the last line that he had was perfect. And he said, "So that's what it feels like." So he finally felt sentimentality for this young girl who became his daughter. And the beautiful moment when she turns the cross into the X at the end, that was perfect. Couldn't have done it any better than that. That was brilliant. And James Mangold's direction is superb. He's really upped his game here. They've put so much into this. And I mean, the other thing I will say is the kids at the end don't do all that much, but they're okay. They contribute a little bit in the final battle, but they're mostly just there just because of the plot. And yeah, I mean, it's a really entertaining film. It's long, but it's you don't think it's too long. The action is awesome. It's really bloody, brutal, epic, and you're just sitting there, kind of. I was sitting on the edge of my seat because I thought, okay, this is the last movie. This is the last one he's ever going to do. And as you're watching it, you're engaged at every moment. And there's also a nice idea of them breaking the fourth wall, which is when they have the actual X-Men comics in the movie. I thought, hang on a minute, this doesn't make sense. But then when the dialogue explained it about how Wolverine was like, not all of this happened. This is all bullshit. I was like, oh, okay, that's quite interesting. To see how that comes into place. They use it for the plot. Oh god, sorry, the thing is beeping. So my oven's beeping. So if you just bear with me, I'll be back in literally 2 minutes. You can just talk for a moment, Harry.
Oh, thanks, Ollie. Yeah, totally agree with everything you said. This is X-Men at its most extreme, its most violent. Yeah, yeah. Parents, be warned. Kids, stay away. Don't bring your kids, as they say. And yeah, this was a delightful. That's the action. That the action was as brutal and as phenomenal as it was. I couldn't have done the action better myself. This I mean, take notes, studios. This is how you do action in R-rated comic book movie. And I mean, take notes from both this and Deadpool. Yeah, I mean, adult. I mean, kids are not gonna. Kids are gonna probably be disturbed by this, and that's fair enough. But of course, kids do have their comic book movies, which is for them, which is great. But for adults, this is for the adults. This is top freaking notch. This is what we've paid to see, and just and those poor henchmen who I feel sorry for anyone who got in the way of Logan and Laura in this movie. Oh gosh, you you don't want to mess with them. You just don't. Yeah, and yeah, and oh, and two other characters I didn't mention. Uh, that's I think that's that couple who took them in the middle. Yeah, yeah, they didn't contribute a lot to the movie, but they were nice for the scenes they were in, and just oh yeah, and the kids at the end who contribute in the final forest fight. Yeah, yeah, they kind of were just there for because the plot needed them to be. Uh, but by child actors, they were right. yeah, they uh yeah they did the job as well as they could, and and yeah to yeah just uh and yeah, as you said, the fact that Charles Xavier was he he was he was he didn't both Charles and Logan, they didn't have a few of their powers anymore. They're being stripped of their powers, and Xavier is going insane. He's really struggling to find his footing. Both are struggling to find well to find hope in this movie, and and that's and that's when you have these characters at their lowest low, that's when we cared the most. And but at least they, even if they both do die and both go out, they both went out heroes and let Laura, who's the next generation of X-Men, just go on and carry on their legacy. So so of so of course that that was just a perfect decision from from the writers of from the writers to to end it like that. We've
Sorry.
oh hi Ollie.
Sorry about that. I just had to tend to my dinner. Sorry about this being back and forth, but we're almost done. What was it you were saying just before I interrupted?
Well, I was just complimenting how Charles and Logan, how their story was concluded, and they let Laura, the next generation, continue their legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whether she'll return for more movies is another question. I mean, but this is a great send off for the pair of them, and I really like it. I really like this movie. It's so brutally realistic, and it's brutally emotional as well. I mean, there's a funny scene when the kids start snipping his beard, so he looks like Wolverine. He looks like his older self at the very end, which I thought was yeah. The emotional drama is so strong and it's so powerful. The only thing I said, apart from the couple of casting that I didn't really like, the only other thing that bothered me was Wolverine being a limo driver. I don't think that suits his character whatsoever. I just don't think it suits him. He wouldn't do that. He's too aggressive for that. But I mean, it's not a major problem. It's just a nitpick. And also, like the swearing. I mean, yeah, they went all out on the swearing. They thought, fuck it, why not? We use the F word as much as possible. But I don't think it really worked for Xavier. I mean, okay, maybe the once, but I don't think he wouldn't say that. It's not in his character. Like saying crap or shit, that's fine. But I think it's funnier when Logan does it. But that's minor nitpicks aside. And also the music. There wasn't much of a soundtrack, to be honest. But hey ho. I also really like the section of the film where they go to the family's house, and it gets quite bloody and brutal. There's a lovely scene when they're having dinner, and then they're all laughing and joking, and they talk about Xavier's school, and then he's like, "I wish I could say you were a good pupil, but the words would choke me." So that was funny. And that was sort of his first glimpse at what a family looks like. Charles says that to him. He's like, "This is what family's like." And he's like, "Yeah, great." So that's very nice. And also the whole stuff with the X-23 is awesome. The clone is great. When he first sees it as well, that's really cool. And then he has a couple of fights with it, which is great. I mean, I really liked this movie. I thought it was bloody fantastic and definitely one of the best X-Men movies of all time, and definitely the best Wolverine movie of all time. And such an amazing send-off for Hugh Jackman. It's great, got great action, great emotional drama, great characters, and it's nice to have a smaller cast for a change. A great final performance for Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart. Great new performer in Daphne Keane. It's perfect. And James Mangold's direction is great. Just a few nitpicks, but the nitpicks don't stop me from rating this movie a definite 10 out of 10. What a perfect way to go. So yeah, that's the trilogy. That's the Wolverine trilogy. I mean, as for how I'd rank them as well, they're pretty much already ranked in their order. It's at the bottom would be X-Men Origins Wolverine, then would be the Wolverine, then would be Logan. What about you, Harry?
Absolutely the exact same ranking. Origins Wolverine at the bottom for obvious reasons, and then the Wolverine and fucking-lutely Logan at the top.
Yeah, definitely. And while we're here, we can also rank the X-Men movies themselves. Now that we've reflected on all 9 of them. So Harry, how would you rank the 9 X-Men movies?
Okay. Gosh. Well, if I were to rank them, I'll probably start at the bottom and then work my way up to the top. Okay. Worst Origins Wolverine. Then the Wolverine. Then the Last Stand. Then X-Men, then First Class, then X-Men 2, then Days of Future Past, then Apocalypse, and number 1, of course, is Logan. So yeah, Ollie, what would be your ranking of the 9 X-Men movies?
It's a difficult one. I'll probably again start from the bottom. Right at the bottom, X-Men Origins Wolverine at number 9, never moving up. Then probably at number 8 would be X-Men 3, The Last Stand. I don't mind the film. I think it's okay. Number 7 would probably have to be, you're going to hate me for this, X-Men Apocalypse.
Oh, that's all right.
I still enjoy it. It's good. It is good. And then it would have to be, what's that number? Number 6? Yeah. Whatever number it is. After X-Men Apocalypse, it would probably then be the Wolverine. I enjoyed that one a lot. Then X-Men 1. Then probably X-Men First Class. Then Logan. Then Days of Future Past. And then X2. Probably be my list.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah. And just before we close off, now that we've talked about all the films, how do you sort of see the series as a whole? Like, what do you think of the whole X-Men saga / Wolverine saga?
Well, Ollie, the X-Men / Wolverine saga, I can gladly say, will forever go down as one of the most inspirational, influential, and special superhero sagas that ever put to the silver screen. It's just so original. It's so different. Being about something. It has timeless characters, perfect casting. I mean, some of the movies are better than others, but that's to be expected with every saga. And the ones that are great are just so fucking great. And yeah, I can gladly go back to the great movies of this saga over and over again. And if Logan is the last one, then they went out with a bang. They went out truly high, and I couldn't be happier. So the X-Men saga is truly great. So Ollie,
yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with you there. It's a great series. I mean, yeah, I mean, some films better than the others, but again, like you said, it's to be expected. They're all very different as well. They do tend to be very different. and I really like them. I really like this series. I'm so glad I got into it when I was very young. I think about 2005 was when I got into it, and then the X-Men 3 was the first one I saw at the cinema, and you know, ever since that original trilogy, I've always loved these films, and I've always looked forward to future ones that have come out, and I'm looking forward to where the series goes from here, because I feel that there is potential for it to carry on for at least another 10 years if they play their cards right. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So sorry about me going in and out of this hangout, but I have really enjoyed it, and thank you, Harry, for coming on board. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yes, so stay tuned next time, guys, for whatever we decide to do next. Until then, I'm MrTardis11, this is Harry Thomas, and see ya!